Hello everybody, it's me Caleb, welcome back. Let's get right into what happened this week, which is the restroom, because of course, I gotta keep going with that. So let's get over there and I'll show you some of that. So coming up to the bathroom, no more hole. Hole is gone, and I think a few of you guys already, or most of you should already know that the boards here are for the wainscoting, the beadboard that I'm putting there. And I've got a few of those pieces cleaned up, and I'll show you that here in a bit. But essentially, from here to here, I'm not going to run any plaster because, well, it doesn't make any sense to run any plaster there. But here, I actually did put the lath back that I ripped off, and up there where the pipe is as well. Obviously, it's looking quite rough already, but I haven't gotten to floating the whole wall quite yet. I still got to get a bit of this paint off, get back down to plaster, and then that'll be easy to float back up. And I also got this wall just now put on. It is currently still wet and quite pliable still. So I haven't come back over and floated this at all, or smoothed it out. So I'm going to be doing that here pretty soon. I just got that one on. And this wall here as well. Of course, again, this plaster still being fairly pliable at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of this wall all the way up. Of course, this is the angle because this is the maid stair right above us. So going pretty good there. Now, for those who don't know about the plaster washers and the method I'm using to secure the old plaster, you guys have saw that I left plenty of chunks of plaster still there. And that's because they were still pretty well attached. There's no reason to remove them. They help for like a depth gauge. But I did want to show you guys these plaster washers. Essentially all this is a washer with little holes in it so plaster will stick to it. I use a combination of two different glues and these plasters to make sure the plaster doesn't go anywhere any longer, so it's sound again, because you need it obviously not to fall off later. And because these are all on wooden lath, you can screw into them, so these are kind of super necessary. So I use these as the mechanical bond, and then I use a Loctite power grab. It's the kind of glue I use. If you're in Europe, I don't know what it'd be called for you, but essentially it's like a caulk gun style glue that I squirt in there, and then I use a concrete adhesive to kind of clean the area before both of these to make sure all the loose plaster condenses back together and gets glued in. It's kind of like a primer glue, if you will, but that's exactly the technique I'm using for these areas. And I think these walls, at least by next week, should probably be getting their final coats of plaster. Maybe even start with the beadboard down here, which will be awesome. Can't wait to get that all going. Need to clean this off a little bit because it might be harder to stick some things to it with this on there. But overall, yeah, the bathroom's starting to shape up. We're having less and less holes in here. I mean, it looks like a room again, which is pretty nice. Got to get these windows all stripped up. The window here. I've already got one of these because there's two windows here that fold together. I've already got one of those pretty much completely cleaned up. I've been kind of just playing with it in my spare time as, I don't know, taking a break or something. Sometimes you can sit down and do something that way you're not on your feet all day. But yeah, got a little bit of floating out here to do, and we'll be having a bathroom in no time. So first things first, I've been meaning to shoot these clocks for a while, but now that I have the lights, it makes it a little bit easier. These are from a guy named Mike in Roanoke, who actually has family here in St. Louis, and over Christmas brought me these three fantastic clocks. They're really gorgeous. These two here, obviously very much so more Eastlake aesthetic movement and style. Love the cranes on the glass on this one. And this one has like a griffin. Let me pull him out a little bit. You can see the griffin and the gold paint. And they're absolutely gorgeous. And then we have this little Empire one here up front. And while these two are way more stylistically closer to my house, this one is important for an entire different reason. I believe this one is an Empire style clock. Don't quote me on styles. The aesthetic movement, Eastlake, I kind of understand. All the other ones I have trouble with a little bit. I understand Queen Anne, I guess. But I believe this is an Empire style clock. And it's important because if we open up the frame here, or the case, and go inside. So this little sticker right here is why this clock is so important. It says H.J. Oberschelp, watchmaker and jeweler, northeast corner of 14th and Montgomery Streets, St. Louis, Missouri, 1891. The last bit being a date. So this was sold in 1891. So the northeast corner of 14th Street in Montgomery is really, really close to here. It's maybe 6 blocks, and it's directly between Mr. Brown's factory where he built his machinery and his house here where he lived, obviously. So this clock, you know, and again, being sold in 1891, the house was finished in 1890. It's quite possible that this clock could have been in this house, or it's at least plausible, right? But it was at least part of the neighborhood, right? Somebody in this neighborhood bought this clock. This belongs to my neighborhood or one of the surrounding neighborhoods, because there are a lot of watch clocks, or there are a lot of clock shops around here, sure. So you would have went to your local one, and this was the local one. This is probably the closest one to the Browns. So even if this clock, per se, didn't end up, let me close a little, open the lid here. If this clock itself didn't, you know, wasn't here, who knows if Mr. Brown maybe went into the shop. Maybe they laid eyes on this at one point. Who knows? But it's a really cool piece of St. Louis history, and it relates really close to my neighborhood, and I just think it's cool. And of course, the other two are absolutely gorgeous as well. So Mike, thank you so very much for these. They're really, really cool. And yeah, mantle clocks for days. They're gonna start going on the mantles like this one here. Hello, everybody. Okay, so next item. I'm always excited, as you guys know, to find little pieces and hints of Hall & Brown stuff. So this next piece is no exception to that. It's an actual Hall & Brown piece of equipment, and I'm really excited about it. This, I'm not exactly for sure of the name of it, of the machine. I'll have to look it up in my catalog, or one of the catalogs, and try to find it. But essentially, you could put smaller pieces of molding in here and quickly chop with the handle a 45-degree angle. So it's kind of a quick thing. It is a very heavy item for what it is. But this is actual Hall & Brown. Now, you might be able to pick out the L here. This is actually a crack, and these are bits that were repaired. So we have the O and the W in brown, so there would have been an N here and an R here and a B in the crack. But they've ground these down because somebody's repaired it in the past. But these are square nuts back here, so a fairly old repair here. But then we have the St. Louis, Missouri, and it's perfect. But this is it. This might be the smallest piece of Hall & Brown equipment that they ever made, but it's still a piece of Hall & Brown equipment. It's also one for me that's really easy to display here in the house. But this is it. This is what built the house. This is the company that made the house possible. And here it is, sitting in the parlor. Now, a good friend of mine, Eric, is actually who brought me this. He just gave it to me, along with another really piece of amazing equipment that I'll show you guys in the basement. That isn't Hall & Brown, but it's still really cool. And he's the guy who's going to be doing the Mansard roof and a bunch of things, and he works specifically on old equipment like this. Because it's better manufactured, it's better quality. And he had 3 of these things, and he just kind of brought it over and said, hey, I don't have a need for this one, I have 3 of them, so here's this one. I know you needed the Hall & Brown one, here it is. So, I mean, how cool. And this one actually has a plate on it. Like, I think if you guys know, I have a table saw outside, but it's missing the part of the iron, what it would say Hall & Brown on it. This one has it, now albeit messed up, but still, how cool. Again, something that the guys built. It's here, it's back, it's home. And yeah, I'm always excited to get big, amazing pieces of machinery. So here, let's do a quick little demonstration. You press down the handle here, and it would come down, and you would cut your little 45. So thanks, Eric. Let's go down to the basement. I'll show you guys the other really amazing piece of equipment that Eric brought me, because it is awesome too, and I can't wait to start building pieces of the house with it. So now down here in the basement, and here is that big, beautiful machine I was talking about. Now, as far as bandsaws are concerned, it is not a big machine, but it's this little cute crescent-made bandsaw, and it is a thing of beauty, and I cannot believe Eric gave me this in the Hall & Brown piece. So amazing. I mean, just until, obviously there's no motor with it right now, but he's been using it recently. I do have to fix some bearings up here at the top. He said he recommended a machinist to help me do that. But to have a piece of equipment like this, it'll last forever. It's the reason a lot of these companies ended up going out of business, is because their machines last too long and nobody ever had a need to buy a new one. But man, I cannot wait to use this piece. I'm gonna have to find a place down here in the basement for it to live, but this expands by a huge amount what I can do in this house, because table saws will only let you cut so high. Here, I go from maybe having 6 inches high I can cut on something. Now I can probably do 12 inches, maybe more. Actually, yeah, definitely more. So this is really gonna come in handy if I need to make any extra molding or something like that, or some of the top pieces, or if I need to do, at the end of the day, guys, it just really expands what I can do. And it's a big, beautiful bandsaw, or, well, tiny bandsaw, but it's perfect for the needs I need. It'll last longer and do better work than anything I can go and buy at Lowe's. 100-year-old equipment. It's even got the place here where you would shift the rope, so you can turn this, and it would essentially, the belt, the big cam systems that you would see on old machinery, it would switch it so there'd be a drive wheel here, which is actually sitting up here because it's no longer needed on the machine. And you would take that belt that's just spinning on a wheel here, which is just a free wheel, like it doesn't connect to anything, just to keep the belt going, and then you would shift it over onto this here, and this is the drive mechanism that spins your wheel there, that spins your bandsaw. Now I don't have a saw blade. My buddy Eric is still finding where it was, or where one is. He has 2 machines about the same size, so he has to figure out which saw blade goes with which. But yeah, he's gonna help me get it moving and working, and show me how to repair and work on these machines. And I can't thank him enough. It's such a cool gift. It's the coolest, and because he has so many of machines just like this. He doesn't really have a use for it right now or anymore, and he likes to pass on the things that he knows. And yeah, I can't wait to get going with it, and hopefully not lose a finger. But really excited about this. Thank you, Eric and Claire. You guys are awesome. You guys really, really killed it today. So back here in the bathroom, I've been kind of thinking about, all the newspapers and stuff I found in the walls here. I know you guys have seen them from like the previous videos. It allowed me to date and know when the renovation was done here, turning this from a butler's pantry into the bathroom. It was in 1923. And, I thought about, well, maybe I'll buy a paper or some paper and put it in the wall. That way people have the discovery later, because I think it's kind of a cool concept. Well, I got really fortunate this week because the last month or so, I had been speaking with a journalist over at the STL Today, one of the bigger papers in town, and I actually made it into the paper. So you see my house here, right here. So yeah, made it into the paper. Right there, Houses of Instagram, which I think is funny. Maybe in 100 years' time, somebody finds us in the wall and is like, what's an Instagram? But if we open the paper up as well, well. So you can see I wrote up an article. This whole page is about my house, and I have some of the other houses here. The Onion House, I think they are called Brick and Maple. This one I think is called Mo Modern, Lion House and Soulard. But I think it'll be really cool to leave this paper in the wall, because, whoever finds this in 100 years knows, what I did. Digital stuff like this, YouTube channel and all that stuff, who knows how much longevity that really has. But this is, it's analog, it's real, you can touch it and feel it. And paper seems to do fairly well inside the walls, so I think I'm going to wrap this in a plastic bag and put it back in the butler's pantry / bathroom, and who knows who finds this in the future. But yeah, this is, I don't know, it came out at the right time, because I'll be sealing that up pretty soon, so I don't know, it kind of just worked out. Also, thanks to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch for writing up that article, and Valerie, thank you, the journalist who wrote it. Yeah, it was really fun, and yeah, maybe I'll make the paper again at some point, who knows. Really interesting, so thank you. So that's going to do it for this week, guys. Let me take you guys in the bathroom, show you guys what we got going in there, and hopefully what happens next week. It's going to shape up, I think, really quickly now, because I'm starting to get all the little nitpicky things done, and as soon as you hit a certain point, it just happens. So let me show you what we've got going on. So obviously the large wall here in the back that used to have the doorway in it needs another skim coat of plaster. I have to get the rest of this top coat off, Most of the other walls I have almost all of that off, so those will go fairly quickly. It's kind of hard to scrape all that stuff off there, but a lot of it just was falling off and it can't remain. So I'm going to fix these walls, all this stuff. Got to put a board back in here so I can get this all shored up and ready to accept the new door. I've got some beadboard, so I think I've acquired almost as much as I need. I'll probably have to go get a little bit more, but I should be able to start attaching stuff onto this wall. But of course I don't want to do that quite yet because I do have to level out this floor a little bit. It's close, but it's not perfect. And tile directly on subfloor like this, you can totally do that. But I would still prefer to have a bit better base. So I got some self-leveling compound. It's like concrete stuff. Essentially you mix it up, pour it on. It's real thin. It kind of finds its ways to all the grooves and cracks and levels out. So I'm going to have to pour that in here. Once I get the floor already set up, everything kind of around the base, screw in the beadboard. I still have to order my tiles because I don't quite have the exact measurements yet. I'm still furring a lot of this stuff out because the plaster... One thing I think a lot of people have problems with on walls like this is they think that the guys who built these walls originally did them straight, like, you know, perfectly flat, level, flush, all that. They actually didn't, and a lot of the times you'll run into trouble when you put drywall on things like this because they're not flat. What they did is they flattened it out in the plaster. So this side of the wall is actually thinner in plaster than this side of the wall. Probably about at least a ½ inch, maybe up to 3/4 of an inch off from just from there to there, which is like, you know, 4 feet. So, you know, you have to be careful with that sort of stuff. And before we go, I figured I might show you guys the back where the door was in the butler's pantry and the kitchen. So you can kind of see how the plaster has mushroomed out and created a key which actually holds the plaster to the wall. That's how this lath system works. So if you were unaware about that, now you know. So thanks as always, guys, for watching this week. Maybe not the most exciting work in the world, but work that still happened and work that was still necessary. There's a lot planned for next week as far as potentially going to get some more machinery. A lot to do, as always. And not just the work you guys see me do. There's a lot of work behind the scenes, everything else that makes all of this function and work and meetings. And I've met with a lot of neighbors this week, which has been very pleasant. Robert, Karen, if you guys are watching, it was very wonderful meeting you guys this week. Especially Robert. We're working on trying to get some neighborhood association things done and looking forward to building a better community for tomorrow. So we're working on that. Gonna make... make the sunshine on this neighborhood again, and yeah, things are going good. Things are going really good. So thanks as always, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you guys again next week. Bye-bye.